Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of SUGTalks. I'm Craig Dale, your host, and together with our special guests we'll take a deep dive into the topics, challenges and opportunities facing SAP users today. Please make sure you do subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. I'm delighted today to be joined by Nick Saunders, author, insights practitioner and motivational speaker. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you very much, Craig. Lovely to see you again.
Wonderful. And in today's episode, we'll be discussing how we can communicate more effectively and turn relationships into results. Before we get into that, though, I'd just like to ask you, if I may, Nick, what's one thing you think everyone should try at least once?
I'm going to suggest doing a... is it physical challenge or something extreme? So it might be physical or mental, but doing something that really makes you uncomfortable. That's completely, you think, no way could I do that, and then you go and do it. So very, very quickly, I ran the Marathon des Sahara, which is the MDS, which is a ultra marathon event in the Sahara, 6 marathons in 6 days.
Wow.
Yeah, well, stupidly, it was a midlife crisis. So that for me, and all the training and everything else, I'm not a runner. So for me, that was, to this day, one of the best things I've ever done, because it just puts you in a place you've never been before. So that would be my thing, do something different and challenging.
Fantastic. That's amazing. And when I was asking the question, I was just thinking, have marmalade on toast under melted cheese. And your answer is just completely...
No. I think yours is a better answer. Let's go with that. How about doing both? Have that whilst you're running the MDS in the summer.
Oh, well, it'll certainly give you that bit of sugar, a little bit of carbs in there, and cheese.
Exactly. Perfect.
Apologies for those that don't like cheese, of course. But okay. Moving swiftly on.
Yes.
Just to start things off then, Nick, I wondered, could you please give us a bit of background on yourself and how you came to be an award-winning conference speaker and #1 Amazon best-selling author?
Now, stop it. Can you work with my PR agent? Okay, short answer, thank you. I'll try and make it short. Started in, a varied career, but with a common theme running through it. So started in hotel management, which is all about people, and that's the theme. So as you know, obviously, in a services industry, managing all over Europe, managing hotels with teams of people. Joined a sports insurance company. I was invited to join, which was quite interesting. Although it's insurance, it was about dealing with sportsmen and women and making sure they were covered, amateur sportsmen and women. Again, I was running a team with people. I was dealing with agents and professional football. But Gary Lineker and Brian Robson were part of that. They were two of our agents.
Oh, wow.
People theme. Then I thought, right, I wanted to do a bit of charity work. So I joined the ICFM, which is the Chartered Institute of Fundraising Managers. And that was about helping fundraisers raise money for charities. Again, very much a people thing. I always remember a fundraiser, a very well-respected fundraiser was asked, what's the one thing that makes a good fundraiser? And she said, being nice to people. So there's that. And then training a consultancy business, which was fascinating because that was just dealing with people. And it was a real privilege because you go into these different companies and just watch how they worked and what didn't work, dealing with some really successful people. And so I stole lots of ideas there. Then I started my own training business, which led on to the motivational speaking bit, which is similar to training, but being a quiet, shy, little demure type, speaking to 200 people is a. I hated it to begin with, but I love it. So that's the theme is people, but a varied load of organisations and industries.
Oh, fantastic. So very like you say, people-centric history and focusing on people and how they can improve and how you can improve relationships with them. And
exactly.
In your experience, what are the biggest challenges that organisations face when it comes to workplace communication? And I suppose, why do these issues persist?
So the research will tell you that the common communication challenges are things like information overload, or the opposite, no information. No one told us anything. Lack of transparency, cultural barriers as a common one. There's the hierarchical power dynamics, which comes up quite often. No one tells us, they don't want to tell us because they want to keep it to themselves. The basic stuff, listening skills. Now, I know it's almost so patronising. We all know we need to listen, but it keeps coming up in the research that says that why are we not good at communicating? Because we don't listen to each other. So it's literally questioning and listening skills. My two favourites is the wrong word. The two ones that I see the most of are COVID. I think there's still a negative impact on COVID on communication even today, years on. But my number one for that answer that question is people either don't have or do them badly. Difficult conversations, honest conversations that you should have, and it could be something minor or major, but like giving feedback to someone or someone lets you down. Just those conversations you have that are so important to how we develop, grow and improve, and how teams work together. It's not about liking each other, but how we work well together. My number one is what I talk about a lot in my speeches, having those tricky conversations.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And just going back to COVID, you mentioned there.
Yeah.
In what ways do you think COVID's affected communication negatively?
It sounds, again, very simple, but I think those little conversations by the water machine or having coffee or those interactions in the office or with clients face to face, they sound so, are they really important? But it's if you don't have that for 2 years, it has an impact. And I think people miss those. And I think we need, as human beings, of course, we need that social interaction. So I do think there's a lot of negativity that came out of that because we missed those. We didn't have that face-to-face stuff. In the conference speaking world, which shut down for 2 years, in my world, we were doing a lot of virtual conference speaking, which is ridiculous, which I didn't like at all, but we had to do it virtually. And there was a theme in our industry saying, well, I wonder if we'll ever get back to conferences, because this is great, do it virtually, and companies save a fortune because you don't have to fly people in or do hotels, you just all do it in front of a screen. But people like to meet up and like to network and drink rubbish coffee and have sandwiches, and they, so actually the conference industry is even bigger than before. So I really think it's that basic face-to-face, look yourself in the eye, have a quick chat, real simple stuff, but we miss it. And I think it's affected communication badly, I do.
I would agree. I always feel that the whole of life, whether it's personal, whether it's business, is built on relationships, and
Totally.
You can only really develop and grow relationships in a face-to-face environment. That's my opinion.
No, I'm with 100%, and interestingly correct. Well, look at your event back in December. The buzz and just watching people at the conference in Birmingham in the NEC, how they interact and it was great to watch. It was a real energy then, and people interacting. It was almost like they hadn't seen each other for years. There was that, that sort of, and in fact, Craig, a lot of my clients, I would say 75% of my clients, the bosses I work with, are being quite strict now on back in the office. You can't have 3 days at home. A couple of my clients are saying 5 days a week you're in full time. I'm just not having it. So quite a few of them are saying we need you back in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. It's certainly changing quite a lot now, and I think some are seeing the benefits of it, but others it's very difficult because they've got used to that way of working. But you mentioned Connect there, the conference back in the beginning of December.
Yeah.
So the session you did, which
Yes.
went down extremely well, I've got to say. The feedback I had from everybody was fantastic because, of course, as you keep reminding me, I wasn't able to attend. But the feedback was phenomenal. And you talk about the insight system. So I wonder, would you be able to break that down for us and how it works and why it's such an effective tool for organisations?
With pleasure. First thing to say is some of your listeners may well have heard of it because it has been around for a while. It's very successful. It's very well respected. But in simple language, insights discovery is a psychometric profiling tool that enables you to get on with anyone and everyone, enables you to work well with people, and it's based around self-awareness, understanding others, and how then you can adapt your style to have good conversations. And the beauty of insights discovery is, well, there are two reasons why it's so good. Number one is it is credible. It has the science behind it. It's a well-respected tool. So it's been used by hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. It's endorsed by the British Psychological Society. It's got that. It's been proven to be statistically valid and reliable. So it's got that cred, and it's got the beautifully simple language of 4 colours. So it's a tool that people get. You just get it. Everyone gets it. It's easy to understand, and then best of all, you can apply it in real life situations. And the 4 colours. Got to be a bit careful here, because obviously, as human beings, we're much more complicated than just putting this into a colour and saying, what I always say: be careful not to box people and say, and I'll tell you what the colours are in a minute. But all people who are red behave like this. Of course not. And how we interact with each other is nuanced and highly complex. But this is a simple tool that says, okay, well, we've got 4 colours. We all have an element of all 4. There's a lead colour in there, but it's such a lovely language. People just remember it. So I've been doing this, Craig, for years now, and like me, I'm sure you've been on hundreds of thousands of training courses in your career. I mean, I know you're a young man, but I'm sure you've been on a few.
Oh, you can come on again.
Thank you. 5 are in the post. We've all been on training courses. How many, if we hand on heart, how many could we come away saying, and you still remember 10 years on? I certainly haven't in all the courses I've been on. This baby, this thing, people remember it. In fact, I was with a new client yesterday who I did 15 years ago. He was a sales guy. He's now the CEO of a fintech company, and he's only got me back in because he remembers the colours, because he remembers insights.
Mm-hmm.
So should I do the 4 colours quickly so people who aren't aware of it?
Please, but before you do, I have a question for you, if I may. It is around the colours. So at Connect, I was chatting to one of our delegates, and she said to me, great session. By the way, you're a yellow. So what does that say about me?
I'm not allowed to swear because you said I can't do that beforehand. Yellow in me. Okay, there's a good intro. Right, there's a good link. Yellow is, let me tell you what the colours are. I'll start with yellow. This is you. Sociable. Yellow is someone who's sociable, outgoing, likes people, good team player, more extrovert than introvert, talkative, chatty, quite annoying to some people sometimes, Craig, and I can say that because I'm yellow as well, mate. You and me together. So yellow is that energy bouncing, a bit like Tigger, boing, boing, boing. So that she probably saw that in you, and that's yellow. That's why. So it's a compliment. I take it in the right way, Craig. I'm sure she meant it the right way.
Okay, cool. I will take that as a perception of me. I can wear that. Certainly the annoying piece. My wife will probably attest to that wholeheartedly.
Funnily enough, so would mine, because she's the opposite, which is another life segue, thank you. So the opposite to yellow is blue. So someone with a lot of blue is opposite in terms of quite introverted more than extroverted, thoughtful, likes to sit back and watch and observe, structured, orderly, totally not a show-off yellow. The opposite, really. Won't say much in a meeting, but when Mr. or Mrs. Blue says something, everyone else goes, oh, that's really good. So I describe blue as a bit like an engineer. Mm-hmm. Structure, process, loves a spreadsheet, of course. That sort of, so you can see how yellow and blue are very opposite. Yeah. Which leaves red and green. Red is get on with it, direct, likes to be in charge, competitive, doesn't suffer fools, let's just cut to the chase, likes to win at all costs. So quite a few, I work with a lot of senior leaders in business, and there's a lot of red around, as you can imagine. And the last one is green, which is opposite to red. Green is the nice colour. So anyone that's high on green, kind, empathetic, caring, good listener, nurturing, won't like confrontation. So green is a bit like the nurse, the doctor, if you know what I mean. Red is the leader, get on with it, go, 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 go. Yellow is the woo, 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 energy, bouncy actor, if you like, or actress. And then blue is the engineer.
Thank you.
We know our community, but we don't know yours yet. Why not share the benefits of your UK&I Sub membership with those who don't know about us? The UK&I Sub referral scheme rewards you for helping to grow and develop our community. You can check out the link in the description to find out more about how you can get involved. Terms and conditions apply. We hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So, just reflecting on that, I think I was initially going to ask about, is it oversimplifying things to put people in just 4 categories? But what you said was that we all have an element of every colour, but we have a lead colour.
Correct. So you're quite right. We are a balance, and when I say lead colour, of those 4, in fact, your listeners there, if I said to them, come on then, if you can only have one, which one would it be? That's quite difficult, of course, because, well, some of us are different at work to home. It depends on who we're in front of, because some people that we really like, you'll see a different colour. It depends what we're doing, depends on how stressed we are. So there's lots of different angles, and there's loads of stuff that will affect what mood you're in, all sorts of stuff. However, so we are a combination of all 4, but we usually have one that stands out more. But some people have they're one colour, and the other 3 are much lower, if you like. Some are very balanced, but it's a lovely language and a lovely tool, because people, when I do it, they in a session or a training session or a speech, people get it and they'll go, oh yeah, and I always see these little, oh yeah, Fred, you're definitely blue, and Gary, you're green, and Susie, you're, it's that sort of. And then, of course, I'm sorry, I'm going ahead a bit here, Craig, but it's then about, if you know your colour and you can work out the colour of the person you're communicating with, talking to, the beauty is, can you just tune into their colour and make I call it a 5% switch, a little adaptation to move towards them, if you like, to sort of speak their language, to connect with them better, which we do anyway, but the colours give you a technique to do just that, to have better conversations.
Mm-hmm. And by, I suppose, looking at and understanding those insights, you're able to then guess the personality of whoever you're talking to, and like you say, just switch that 5% so you're talking in the language that resonates more with them.
Exactly right. Some people are hard to read, some people are easy to read, some are hard to read, so not everyone's easy to read, but generally speaking, we will give off clues and tells, even if you've never met anyone before, in the first minute, easier face to face, by the way, than obviously on the phone, or even on a Zoom or Teams call. But if within the first 2 or 3 minutes, you pretty much can get a little idea. You don't always get it right, and I've got it wrong many times, but you get a pretty good idea of their colour, then you can adapt accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fun. And your, if I may call it a tagline, is kind of turning relationships into results. So how does that work? How can you leverage the insights to do that? And perhaps what are the key mindset shifts we need to make to achieve that?
Okay. 2 good questions. Right. So the first thing is, I would say that is, it's nothing to do with you. It's all about them. So it's getting out of your head and what you want out of a conversation, where you're coming from and what's important to you. It's trying to work out whatever the conversation's about. What colour are they? Where are they coming from? What's a win for them? Where's their approach? So for example, if I'm I'm yellow red like you. If I'm speaking to someone who's very blue, and blue, it was the cautious, careful, quiet, introverted type. If I go into high and bouncy and loud and tiggery, it's just going to rub them up the wrong way. So it's about me. I'm not being false or disingenuous, so I'm not lying, but I'm being more blue. So I'm going to slow down my pace. I'm going to not rush them, because blues like to reflect. I'm going to use language that's not over the top, but a bit more logical. I will be factual. I will just speak their language really, and it's stuff that we do anyway. But it's if the colours bring it out and make it easy to remember and easy to apply. The mindset part of your question, yeah, that's a good one. I suppose the mindset is be more open-minded. That sounds a bit trivial and flippant, but it's about people are different. This is not about liking people. It's about working them out and just working well with them or understanding their viewpoint. So we tend to put people in boxes, don't we? We tend to we meet someone and we say, oh well, you're like that, and I would say from a mindset point of view, try to avoid that. You don't have to like the guy, but what you're having a conversation about something, what's the best possible outcome and how can you get there? And the colours is a great way of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Have I answered your question though? I don't know if I have really, but
yes, you have, and from your answers to me, it goes right back to what we were talking about at the beginning about kind of problems in communication and not listening.
Yes.
Because by listening, you're then going to understand what colour that person is potentially and then know how to. So it's all about, I suppose, asking the right questions, but listening to the answers to understand the person.
You need to come along with me and be my sidekick when we do some speeches, because you are exactly right. It is that. In fact, can I share with you a quote on listening the other day? And listening, of course, sorry, this is my sunshine yellow coming out now. I'm going all over the place. The listening is not just sitting back and listening to their words. It's how they say their words. It's what they don't say. It's how they deliver it. It's body language as well. Part of listening is observing, if in a way, listening to. So it's a whole. It's really switching off your brain and really paying attention. I know it's so obvious, isn't it? But in the stressful world we live in, you're doing a million things. You've got a million decisions to make. We very, very easily goes out the window. May I share this with you? Because I only found this. I only saw this last week, and it's just beautiful. Ernest, a very small quote about listening from Ernest Hemingway. It takes 2 years to learn to speak, and 60 to learn to keep quiet. I like that. It takes 2 years to learn to speak, and 60 to learn to keep quiet. It's true, isn't it? We by the time we're 2, we're talking, and then of course we talk too much, as I'm doing now. So I'll shut up.
But that's so true, though, isn't it? I mean, well, you're here to speak, by the way, because I don't have to. Okay. But that thing, it's listening to understand,
yes,
rather than listening to just answer or to speak.
Exactly right. Listening to understand. I like that. It's good. I'm going to nick that. Good phrase. Listen to understand.
Okay. I can't remember where I heard it, so I can't quote it exactly.
I'm taking. I'm going to pretend it's mine as well. So thanks.
Okay. So under your book, you can choose your friends,
yes.
Which focuses on communication and collaboration.
Yes.
So we may have already covered this. So I may be asking the question. So, in your opinion, what's the single most important skill for becoming a great communicator, and why?
So we have kind of half answered it. I did think listening, as simple as without repeating ourselves, that is the book goes through 6 steps to be an excellent communicator. So I'll very quickly. So pausing it's linked to listening, really. We often we charge in or we say what we're going to say, and if you just sit back and pause, that pausing allows the logical part of your brain time to catch up with the emotional part of the brain, and you can often formulate a response that takes the person with you that you're in front of. Especially pausing when we're slightly emotional or stressed or tired, of course. By the way, that works at home more than at work, as you can imagine. Yeah, exactly. So pausing is a really important part of it, listening, and the third skill I do in the book is adapting. So that's very much linked to the colours. How do you adapt to the person in front of you without being forced and disingenuous? This is quite important actually. So there's personality and behaviour. So this is, when I say adapt, that doesn't mean you lie or act or be false or disingenuous. Your personality is your personality, and that is you. We're talking about behaviour. So how you behave with someone, how you communicate. You choose the words, you choose how to behave. It's a choice. So This is not about changing who you are. It's about adapting behaviour. And those are the three things. And just to finish off quickly, I think being authentic is important as a great communicator. Being you with all your foibles and your faults and everything else. Being real, transparent, genuine. Self-deprecating humour is something else in the book I talk about, Greg. I think the best communicators don't take themselves too seriously, are able to reveal a vulnerability or a weakness or a time they messed up. So I think self-deprecation, not every day, but that's a big part of establishing trust and building empathy. And the last thing I talk about, interestingly, is gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, that the best communicators are very good at showing their gratitude, I don't mean in a naff, insincere, sloppy way, but being able to recognise when someone's done something and thank them for it. There's a way to do that. So, sorry, that's a long-winded answer, but those are that's what the book talks about, the six-step model of how to communicate.
Well, that's fantastic. And there was a word you used there, Nick, and it was a word that had come to my mind when you were talking through at least the first three areas there, and that was trust. And those behaviours and doing what you're recommending there builds trust with the other person. Couldn't
agree more. And without that, you're in trouble, aren't you? And I work with a lot of teams, and it's funny that's Patrick Lencioni wrote a very good book about the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and the first thing he says is that lack of trust. If you don't have that, again, it's not about liking people, it's about, and that's where the vulnerability comes in, as you Craig, because if I reveal a time I've messed up or a weakness, of which I have many, that establishes trust, that helps that trust thing, and that's just core to teamwork, but also to communication.
Excellent. And so for businesses looking to improve team dynamics and communication in their teams, where should they start?
Well, there's a guy called Nick Saunders, and see, that was my flippant yellow coming out. I'm so sorry. Where do they start? Well, I mean, I would actually, insights discovery is such a good tool. I mean, whenever I go in when I'm working with a client, pretty well the first thing I do is, and they say, come and do some training, talk about communication. I say, right, but the first session is going to be insights discovery session. Because the way it works, which I haven't expanded, is if you're going to do it fully, is you fill out an online questionnaire, and from the questionnaire you get a report, and the report gives you your colours, your order of colours, your strengths, your weaknesses, your blind spot, how you like your management style. And I remember getting my report 20 years ago, and I'm a bit cynical, and I'd done a few of these, and someone said, go on Nick, try it. So I did it, and I got my insights report, and oh my god, it was like my best friend had written about me, the good bits and the not so good, but it was so accurate. I would say 90% accurate. I ended up becoming a partner of Insights and using it in my career. So I would actually, if a business was wanted to improve teamwork communication, I'd say, right, you do insights discovery. You get the leadership team to do, all the management team to do, each have their profiles. You do a session. It breaks down barriers. People like it. It's fun, and it opens up. It just, the thing with the colours is, instead of people getting the hump or saying something out of order, or when someone annoys someone, you go, if they go, oh, you were a bit red in that meeting, people smile. It sort of breaks down those, it makes it less personal or defensive, and it's particularly good for those challenging conversations.
So okay, going down that yellow route, so where can people learn more about Insights training and the work you do?
Yeah, well, the Insights have their own website, of course, insights.com, which has got some good stuff on it, and that gives you an idea. I have on my website, I have a section on Insights. Listen, it's not just to be heads up and transparent and honest. It's not the be all and end all. It's not the answer to everything. It's one of thousands of psychometric profiling tools, and there are many, many other good ones. This baby, as I said earlier, is the one that because it's got the simple language of colours, people remember it. So I go to insights.com, and there are various books about it. More than welcome to go to my website, which has stuff on it there. And also, it's amazing how many people have done it. So it's one of those things, if you ask someone and they will be, oh yeah. And so it's quite often, the word of mouth sort of reference is one of the best things. That's where I would start.
Okay, and what's your website address then?
It's nicksaundersspeaker.com. Thank you very much for asking.
No problem.
Nick Saunders Speaker. So yeah, and it's got some information on there.
Okay, we'll make sure we share that in the show notes as well.
That's very kind of you.
As we come to the end of our discussion now, Nick, I just wondered whether there's anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with before we do come to a close.
I suppose my question would be, number one, what do you think your colour is? And number two, can home as well as work. So I think what I do love about my job is that a lot of people go on to me and go, that was useful, thank you. I understand now why so-and-so annoys me and I get on with Fred. But a lot of them say, actually, now I get why my mother-in-law talks like that. Now I understand why my daughter does that. Now I understand why my brother pisses me off. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was. But it's a great, useful tool. So I think the answer to your question, sorry, it's quite long-winded, is a bit of self-reflection. Know yourself. Get to know, really be honest with yourself, really be honest, and the colours help. What's your colour? And then next time you're conversing with someone, especially if it's a bit difficult or challenging or stressful, just try and work out their colour and just do a 5% shift. Just make a small step towards them, because the results can be fantastic.
Oh, Nick, thank you.
A pleasure.
It was great having you on, and thank you for your time, thank you for your insights, and to our listeners, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it valuable. Please make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes, and until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and listen to understand.